Today, we're going to be talking about The Gifted, The Flash, Curb Your Enthusiasm, The Good Place, and The Good Doctor, so stay tuned. Welcome to The Real Review, sponsored by Parametric and Lazy Ape Studios, where you get some of the latest happenings, real thoughts, and perspectives in the world of film and television. Today, it is more of the television for our Tube Talk segment.
An article-filled Tube Talk for us.
And we are ramping up. We are finally coming out of the drought. We have a lot of TV to talk about now, and we're going to have even more as the fall progresses.
I am behind now. It's a first, and I'm about to be even further behind.
There's always something
with new stuff coming out.
Kind of sad about the summer when there's not a lot going on to watch and review.
Yeah.
At the same time, you do feel more accomplished because you are actually finishing the shows that you're starting. You're like, I'm caught up on everything.
Well, yeah, and you get to go back and watch all the shows you heard about that were so great that you never got a chance to watch, and you're like, whoa, these are awesome. Like I caught up on Narcos.
Yeah.
And it's just like now we're
going to start falling behind again.
It's like I'm already trying to keep my head above water, and I'm already up to like my eyeballs.
So how you doing, Joel?
Good, man.
Super duper?
I'm
behind.
Super de-duper.
Yeah. I gotcha. Well, again, Tube Talk segment, we're going to cover a lot of TV, but Joel, first off, how do you get connected with us here at The Real Review?
Through things.
Okay, yeah,
Through
what's
ways
up?
And places.
Tell
mostly
me about
online.
That. Okay. The internets.
Yeah, so we got a couple different ways to get connected. So I will mention, we just relaunched, I should say, our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. Matt's rocking on there with all of his trailer reviews and things like that.
Those are fun. I like those.
Maybe I'll do like brief, like hit and run reviews where I just like hit a review and I'm like, boom. And I'll come hit and runs because I'll just like tear down the film real quick.
Like you should do like a 60-second review.
Exactly.
And then be like, and then leave. And then people are like, wait, what?
Yeah, like zero punctuation.
Yeah. And he's like, what is happening?
Yeah, but so check that out. That's youtube.com/TheRealReview.
Yep.
And then we also have realreviewmedia.com, which is our website. We're always posting everything up there. We also have Facebook, which is facebook.com/RealReviewMedia. And then our Instagram and Twitter, which are both at RealReviewMedia. There's so many things. And then as always, we love to talk to you. We love to hear from you. We love to get mail from you, technically email from you, which you can reach us at realreviewmedia@gmail.com.
Yeah,
and
totally.
I'm going to take a sip of my blackberry cucumber LaCroix because
I hate cucumbers,
tired out my
man.
vocal cords now.
I just divided half the listeners. I said I hated cucumbers. So
it's all right, man.
It's all good.
You're not perfect.
Let's start out with something that's been it's relatively new, but we're both watching, and that is The Gifted.
Yes.
Now we didn't get a chance to talk about it last week, but we're caught up. There's been 2 episodes.
Yep. This one kind of snuck up on me, which was interesting because I had heard and thought a lot about Inhumans.
Yeah.
And I was super excited for Inhumans, thinking that was going to be like the big...
Yeah, they're like, IMAX, it's going to be awesome.
Exactly. And they were heavily promoting that and all the stuff that I was checking out. But so I wasn't expecting too much from this, but really I'm liking The Gifted.
Yeah.
It's like night and day. And I know the Inhumans has had another episode come out, which I technically like to give most shows 3 episodes, but that first
it was kind of like 3 episodes.
Yeah, it was just so rough. I mean, so tough to get through.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of just I'm like cleansing my palate with The Gifted right now.
Yeah.
Is how it's going. And I've really been enjoying it. What about you?
I've really been enjoying it too. Yeah. I like there's some elements of like heroes in there a little bit that I'm getting, like first season stuff, which is good.
Yep.
And there are these little like it's about as MCU as a non-MCU show can get.
Agreed.
Because it's not MCU. It takes place in the Fox television universe where the X-Men exist.
Right. And they're allowed to talk about like the X-Men incident that happened at the end of, I think, X-Men First Class 1 or 2.
I don't know.
Or was it 1? Or was it the original? I don't know. I need to look into that.
That's the one I don't feel like gave us enough clarification. But they have these little like things where they talk about the Brotherhood. They talk about the X-Men.
Yeah. Do you want to give the synopsis for it real quick, actually? I don't think we never,
well, hey,
you know what? We keep forgetting to do that.
Yeah, so... The Gifted. So, in a world where mutated humans are treated with distrust and fear, an institute for mutants battles to achieve peace, coexistence with humanity. Right. So it's basically the same as X-Men.
Right, you can just substitute mutants with X-Men and you've got the same idea.
The synopsis is the same thing.
Yeah, and they have like the same kind of powers and stuff. They're kind of, the cool thing about the show though is that they're not trying to be X-Men.
Right.
They're trying to be their own thing, and they talk about the X-Men though, and they talk about almost like how they're like this higher class level of mutant. They're like, like everybody's like, oh my gosh, the X-Men, they're amazing, you know, but they're not around.
They kind of, they said they're not around. We don't really know why. I don't know where this takes place in like the timeline or what that looks like.
It's after Xavier's school's been closed for
they did
reasons, or it's still around and they're just not talking about it.
They did have a cool little Easter egg that I enjoyed where the guy who plays Eclipse, Sean Teal, who I call Discount Oscar Isaac.
Yeah.
He his phone rang in the first episode. And
I saw it.
And it was like the 90s cartoon X-Men theme song.
Yeah, I thought that was
And I was like, oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
And Stan Lee.
I thought that was cute. Oh yeah, Stan Lee did make a cameo.
Yeah, I was like, Stan Lee was in here.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome.
As always, his cameos stand out like a sore thumb.
It wasn't like a passing Stan Lee. It was like he came out of a store as one of the main characters walked in, and then they like lingered on him for a second.
It was like, guys, look, guys, look at Stan Lee, guys.
And then they went back.
Look, guys, keep looking. Okay, he's gone. Yeah.
Right now, as far as and you know me, I gotta have a character to kind of like emotionally invest in.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm kind of on board with
Is it Jamie
Reed? No,
the Blink girl. Shoots the portals.
Yeah, she's cool, but I like.
Yeah, she's cool.
I like Reed.
Okay.
He's like the dad. He's kind of got that like man with the horn rimmed glasses, like from
like the
Heroes vibe.
Yeah. I agree.
I got that, and then I kind of like, I don't know. In this most recent episode, there was this whole prison thing that I found kind of interesting.
Yeah.
That I really enjoyed just watching play it out for some reason.
The thing that I'm liking at this point that I'm so tired of that they're definitely not doing is that whole. It was what they did with Heroes. It's like what they would Lost. It's mysteries and like intrigue and things that you don't like. This person's conniving against this person. It's like they're not doing that. They're just making this straight up like humans versus mutants trying to survive.
Yeah,
and it's so straightforward. It's nice.
Yeah,
and people still do clever things, and they, I'm sure there's going to be like betrayals and things like that happen in the script, but it's not trying to present things that I just know they're never going to fully flesh out in the show.
Yeah, and it gives you a glimpse of what it's like outside of the X-Men like storylines. Like there's other things happening in the world, other mutants dealing with other things.
Right. It's more relatable in that sense because it's like, them in a bowling alley or them at school dance.
I like that there's hospitals dedicated to mutants.
Yeah, it's very realistic.
And I was like, oh, yeah, they're going out of business. But I was like, that's cool. They're like, oh, a guy with a gunshot wound and he's got like, light blaring out of it or whatever. Okay, let me just stitch you up real quick. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
I've really liked the last two episodes as well. I mean, the first episode, just like, boom, they set up like a situation, like two situations, and then that's just the direction. And through that, they're expanding into the universe. Whereas in Humans, it was like they tried to give you so much and they still didn't give you enough.
Yeah.
They tried to present this entire world universe with these deep, complex relationships and these histories and this war. And it's like with this, it's like, no, it's simple. Humans and mutants don't get along. And, this guy's trying to get his girlfriend back. This guy's trying to save his kids.
Yeah.
Boom, go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Simple, straightforward.
Simple, straightforward. It's super relatable and there's good acting. There's good action. Mm-hmm. I've been very impressed by the special effects for the most part.
That truck thing in the most recent one was kind of cool where the bed of the truck came. So
I've been really freaked out by that too. But the idea of like somebody getting their arm chopped off or something has been really freaky to me.
That's crazy.
So, but really cool.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. And I think the powers that they're presenting aren't fantastical or silly they feel very normal. Yeah. In a sense of like an X-Men power normal.
Yeah. That's kind of cool. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. Right now I'm kind of just, if I were to give it,
I would say I was agreeing with you for sure in relatability until this most recent episode, which takes place a lot of it in the jail. So I'm actually, I'm connecting pretty well with Polaris right now. Who's
Me too. That's what I'm saying.
The pregnancy thing, and then also her, lover guy Eclipse.
I like how she's like, she knows she's gonna get shocked, and she still like throws that metal table at that.
I know. She's like, you deserve it. I don't know if that lady died. I didn't get a chance to like slow it down and watch, but she definitely got hurt pretty bad.
It's on broadcast cable, so it's not.
Like, that got dark. I mean, she's like, "You're pregnant," and then she like kicks her right in the belly. It's like,
ooh, that's messed up, yo.
Yeah.
But yeah, just kind of overall, right now I'm at an 8.5 with it.
Yeah, I'm about the same.
Yeah.
I'd say actually almost like 8.7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good stuff, dude. The other one I want to briefly touch on, our next show, and that just aired tonight, and I had a chance to watch it. Actually finished it in the parking lot in the car before I came here. But so I
sitting in your car watching The Flash.
The Flash, yes.
Yeah. Is that where you were when I was texting you?
Yes. Season 4, episode 1.
Yeah.
I've been a fan of The Flash, even though this third season really soured me in a lot of ways. I don't want to spoil it because you haven't seen it.
Right.
So
And I'm wanting to check it out.
Let me just say this, guys. I won't spoil it, but I think they definitely heard us, and they basically fixed everything.
Oh, that is so good.
They fixed everything.
Yeah. Much like Iris was spurned by the Flash in their wedding nuptials, I felt spurned in my love for the Flash by all the stupid choices they were making with just unnecessary character drama, which is a sign I've realized of just nothing, no content. When they just create conflict out of nothing, that's always a sign that they don't have enough like built-in story.
So they fixed it in a sense where like I felt like I was having fun again.
Yay.
I love Cisco again.
Yay. Cisco's awesome.
And then I loved there's some things that I felt like they really rushed over and kind of fixing things. I'm like, well, maybe you should have explained something a little bit more there.
Yeah.
But I'm happy with the outcome.
Right.
So,
well, they have to find a replacement for what's his name? Can't think of his name.
Julian?
No, Dr.
HR.
Yeah, for HR.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that we get that under reps well, and I'm hoping that there's a fun replacement because we've seen 2 iterations now of HR. So I'm hoping. And
Tom
don't spoil
Cavanaugh
it.
is awesome.
Yeah, don't spoil.
I won't spoil it.
it.
I felt like they could have used some more explanation on some things, but for the most part, they're basically like fixing everything, and I'm enjoying it. The end, they introduced.
I'm kind of hoping that the Flash comes back and he goes, "I love you, but now it's your turn to sit." And
so here's the thing:
he sends Iris to that non-universe.
Let me say this thing, and here's for the sake of season 1. I've never really cared for Iris, and I still don't really care for Iris.
I will steadfast. I was the bandwagon for the Iris dislike.
Yeah.
I like her, just not with the Flash.
Yeah.
I think she would be great with like 3 or 4 other guys in the show.
I'm still thinking Barry should have been with Patty Spivot from season 2. I was like all about her.
She and him were great together.
I know,
they had great chemistry.
Yeah.
I think
even Kara.
I even think Supergirl.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that they have great chemistry.
Yeah.
Every time you see them in one of the crossover episodes, they're always joking with each other and having fun and silly and goofy. And that's the thing, they can be goofy with each other.
Even season 1 where Felicity was with Flash for a minute.
Wouldn't that be such a good crossover as Supergirl and the Flash?
Yeah.
I mean, ended up, and that's not in the comic books, I don't think.
What would their babies be like? That would be insane.
Super fast. I don't know what would happen.
That'd be the craziest thing ever. It'd be like Jack from The Incredibles.
Yeah, that would be.
Anyways.
But I don't know.
We digress.
Iris is here to stay. That's the thing, because she's a huge part of the comic book.
Season 4,
they're not going to get rid of her.
Season 4, you're doing a great job so far. Keep it up.
With it.
I'm watching you. I'm watching you. I don't know. Anyways,
you're pointing at stuff.
I'm pointing at stuff in the room as if people are watching me.
There's a monitor over there.
Weird.
I guess that kind of counts.
So next, let's briefly talk about another show that you've kind of been watching. So what's up?
So we'll talk about, just really briefly, want to talk about Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Okay.
This show, for a lot of people, it's kind of a cult classic, but it was also, I believe, one of or the longest running HBO series, like dramatic series that they've had ever. So it was really popular on HBO. I mean, it's one of those shows that it has a really good cult following and really good following. And they did 8 seasons and everybody was like, all right, we're done. It's over. And then they recently decided, hey, we're going to start back up and do more Curb Your Enthusiasm. And it's a 9th season. I don't know if they're going to keep it going, but I've watched a bit of it and I did enjoy Larry David and that kind of humor. He's got this very like sarcastic humor style. So Larry David, it's funny because so the idea is Larry David is kind of himself and he's interacting with a lot of celebrities and famous people throughout LA. Some of them playing themselves, some of them playing kind of like a shadow version of themselves, like similar, but slightly different. And, in the show, he's this, one of the writers of Seinfeld, which is, beloved show classic. And he's a writer. And so it's kind of his misadventures, if you will. It's sort of a comedy of errors. It's the idea of like Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's like, you're not going to be happy. You're not going to have a lot of enthusiasm and good things aren't going to come to you.
Yeah.
And for the most part, Larry always puts himself in these situations where he deserves it. But there's also some, in a sense, there's like a righteous indignation. There's like a fairness to what he's saying, but he always just goes like 10 steps too far. It's just a fun show. And so I've been enjoying it. I'm not spend too much time on it. It's good. I think the first couple episodes back in, they hit it pretty hard and pretty heavy, and it didn't feel like they had kind of lost a lot of that edge. They're definitely hitting right into like the social commentary and stuff like that in a funny way. And the cool thing as well is they talk about like kind of PC type stuff, but in a humorous way. Yeah. And so it kind of opens up that conversational thing. And I think the thing that I just love so much about it is I just love the indignation that he has so often, just the Larry David indignation of like, what is this? Like, so like the last episode, so he writes this script, and I'm not gonna like spoil too much stuff, but it gets him a lot of water or hot water, and he ends up camping out in a hotel basically because he's kind of on the run, and he leaves the hotel, he's checking out, and they have this like cookie table, and so he goes up to the cookie table, and you know how it is, they have like the tongs there.
Yeah.
Like, nobody uses the tongs, everybody just goes straight for a cookie.
Yeah.
And he's like, he wants a cookie, and so instead of like using the tongs, he like very politely and delicately like reaches in and like grabs a cookie with 2 fingers. And the guy comes over and he's like, "Oh, you have to use the tongs." And he's like, "Well, look, this is a very bad system. Like, tongs are not good for cookies. You need to." And so it's just really funny because it plays out over the course of the episode where there's tong-related incidents, you know, throughout the course. So it's just fun like that.
Yeah.
And I definitely encourage people if they never get a chance to check it out. I'm sure it's like all over YouTube and stuff like that if you don't have HBO. So it's a good show. It's funny. Cool. It's a good comedy. Glad to see it back.
I remember hearing that he's had a slot back if he wanted it to bring it back, but he didn't want to have it until he had all the episodes written for the season. Oh,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I will say the production quality is still pretty low. I've never been overly impressed with the production quality. Right. It literally looks like they get by with like a boom operator, a sound mixer, 1 lighting tech, and like a director and a camera operator. That's like what it looks like they get by. And there's actually shots I've seen like people in the background like taking photos of like Larry David like acting and stuff, and I'm like, oh look, that guy's like not even aware they're filming for the show and stuff. Funny. So it's been pretty cool.
But, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Good to know. And that kind of, we got 2 more shows left. Yep. And they both start with V, and they both start with
telling you, tons of articles, man.
This next one is kind of a newer show we introduced a week or 2 ago.
Yes.
And we both like it a lot.
We do. It was a surprise that we've liked this as much.
And this is The Good Place. It is very quirky, very offbeat, very different. And I think that's probably why I like it. And they're little short, tasty tidbits. They're only 26 minutes long.
Right. Plus she's from Arizona.
All right. Phoenix. Cool. I know everything's like Phoenix, Arizona. That's right.
Yeah.
And so this most recent, I guess just to kind of talk about first, because I'm caught up now. You got to talk about the first season. And
it took you a little longer.
It took me a little bit longer, but it is good.
I knew you would. It's good enough to keep watching.
There's a big twist at the end of actually a big twist at the end of the first season that kind of kept me
huge.
Kind of kept me like, oh, whoa, this changes the perception of everything.
Right. It's such a big twist. It's almost like, wow, did they literally just jump the shark at the end of this?
Well, it actually makes me think, well, why didn't I think about this? It makes sense.
Yeah, it really did. It snuck up on me, but it totally made sense.
Yeah.
And that's why it was a good twist.
Yeah.
And it was like a what the fork moment. You know what I mean? It was like,
I love
what
that
the
so much.
fork? That is so, now that, because there was literally moments where I was kind of thinking that.
Yeah, me too.
But I never went and engaged that thought. Right. And I think it's really because you were just so engaged with what was actually happening in that moment and how funny it was and the quirky side stories.
Yeah.
It was a very effective twist, but I was concerned coming into the second season that it had kind of ruined the show, because part of the novelty of the show depended upon that twist not being there. And so I've been pleasantly surprised. I don't know about you, but to see that there's been a lot of really good humor. Yeah. And I think what the show relies on that has not been lost is the way that the characters kind of torture each other.
Right.
And fall into these kind of like cyclical patterns of destruction.
Yeah.
And it's been interesting to see. I think the one element that I've been very happy with that they haven't forced yet is the romantic stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a romantic type show.
They like kind of talk about it, but they move away from it.
Right, and they're tiptoeing into that. And I'd be fine with it like maybe later on after some different things have kind of stabilized, maybe with the story and the characters. But at this point, I'm like, I don't really need that. I think the best romance was John Yoo and Janet. Yeah, that was I love their relationship. And I mean, I love John Yoo's character.
Yeah. Jason Mendoza.
Yeah, he is great to me. And I know he kind of grew on you.
And Pillboy, I didn't like him at first, and then I liked him later on.
So unapologetically stupid.
Yeah.
And not even like, he's just so like, he kills himself by suffocating himself.
He's like, I don't know what went wrong. I was in a safe and I had my scuba mask and snorkel on.
He's like,
yeah. Now I know why that didn't work.
Yeah. And the episode that just happened where John Yoo figures something out.
Yeah.
And Ted's character Michael's like, seriously? John used now figuring this out.
He figured out. Yeah.
It was so funny. And it was the way that he figured it out too. It's really just the back and forth on a dialogue, and then they do those kind of like Seth MacFarlane-esque like side jumps of like to a different idea. But those are the cool thing about theirs is that they're real. They're not made up. And we were talking about how Tahani died.
We find out how
and we finally figured out how she died. So it's like I don't know. I'm just really pleased with that. I'm very happy.
It's very entertaining. It's good. It's got good talent, and it's just kind of like one of those. Yeah. If you're not laughing out loud, and you don't necessarily have to be. I was definitely kind of just smiling a lot of the time.
The chowder.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole like
he's like
they're
why didn't
constantly
we see that
reinventing the it's like a chowder fountain and the chowder like that's just it's like into her different names for it. It's like what is it like ocean water with garbage in it or something? I mean, just the clever little things that they come up with at times. The one thing we're still trying to figure out though is the role of some of the bad place people and kind of who they are and what they mean and the whole thing. Yeah. So be interesting to see.
Yeah, I'm interested to see this new dynamic, especially with this most recent episode where Michael's kind of teaming up with them. So we'll see what happens with that. So, but yeah, cool. I'm enjoying this a lot, and we'll kind of keep you updated as it kind of goes on, I guess.
Yep.
The last one I want to talk about, and have you seen this? We're talking about The Good Doctor. This episode 2.
Yep. I thought the first one was good enough to keep me interested to try episode 2,
me
and
too.
I was happy.
Yeah, I like the second one too. My biggest complaint still is I feel like there's an over-reliance on the music. Like they're really trying to like...
I can see that.
I don't know what. They're just trying to elicit emotions.
Yeah.
They're trying to make a moment seem funnier because they added a specific type of music and it's really loud. I don't know.
I will say this is one of the most like divergent shows out right now in regard to like critical opinion versus general everyday audience opinion. It's at a 90% audience score where it's at like a 37% Rotten Tomatoes score from critics, like a 5.6 out of 10. So there's a huge divide of the critic, and I think that's because what critics are looking for a lot of times is kind of like those deeper themes, those deeper elements, whereas this tends to lend itself more to that melodrama and kind of an overly simplified view of a lot of this stuff.
Exactly.
But it's interesting to me.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to see kind of where, and I think the second episode did a really good job of kind of showing you more of the style and the quirks and the characters and kind of how they're going to operate moving forward and the way that their relationships need to progress or will digress.
I like Sean, and obviously the doctor, I forget his name.
Sean.
Not him. The head doctor of that group of Sean, like Sean's boss.
Oh, Dr. Neil Melendez?
Yeah.
Nicholas Gonzalez, played by
how Sean takes everything at face value.
Yeah.
And he's like, why don't you go do this? And he's like, oh, we're really lucky to have you. And Sean's like, oh, thank you. Stuff like that.
Yeah. I like that. I like his upfrontness about things, and it's interesting because he's already starting to deal with like, well, how does a person with, high functioning autism interact with a person in an environment where there's an emotional consciousness that kind of needs to be there when you're dealing with like people suffering from cancer or
like
people.
You have to have tactfulness.
Right. And then like the rationale of like, well, what kind of procedures are acceptable and how that emotion plays into, an interaction that a person would have of like what kind of procedure they would. So it's been interesting to see. Mm-hmm. It's like he's got this wealth of knowledge that they can use and rely on, and you're seeing that. But he himself suffers from his own inabilities of communicating and connecting appropriately with a given situation.
Yeah. No, I totally agree, and I enjoy seeing that again. I like it. Yeah. I just sometimes the music pops in and it's just so like it takes me out of the show. I'm like, stop it. You don't need to do this. Like if they were to play it more along the lines of like House, where it was just there for supporting it, as opposed to I felt like it's trying to elicit a specific feeling. So
I get you, and I did like as well that they continued on. Like they didn't just like end the story of him and his brother's relationship, but they're fleshing out a bit more of that backstory and kind of how they survived, which I felt like was way like too high level in that first episode, and they kind of told way too much without telling enough.
Right.
Again, which is a constant problem.
Also, I would say I really care about Sean's character.
Yeah.
I like the doctor guy, Richard, what's his name? Dr. Aaron Glassman.
Yep.
His
Richard
character.
Schiff.
And as far as auxiliary characters or supporting characters, I don't care as much. They're trying to bring you a little bit more onto Antonia Thomas's character, Dr. Claire Brown, a little bit. Even what's his name? Oh, the guy who plays Jared Kalu.
Yeah.
Shuku Modu. Sorry, I can't say your name.
Yeah.
But they're trying to bring you into their story more, and I'm sure I'll get there. But right now, I'm not there yet.
That is for sure. I agree. That's a weakness. Other than Dr. Sean and I think sort of Dr. Glassman, there isn't really a strong connection of caring that I have a lot to the other characters. But I think that's going to come as their stories, as their backstories, as who they are kind of is fleshed out a little bit more.
Right.
Because I want to connect with them. They just haven't given me any reason to do so.
Exactly.
At this point.
So yeah, it's good. I'm going to probably keep watching it.
Yeah.
So
same here. If I can keep up with it.
Yeah.
There's
a lot of stuff
we got the Flash now, and then Mr. Robot is
I'm going to be picking up the Arrow again.
Yeah. You might want to drop that Arrow.
Oh man. I know. If it can get better, it's going to be in a position where it's going to potentially be retconning some stuff from last season too. So we'll see. But yeah, that's it for television this week. Anything else you want to add to any of that, Joel?
No.
Okay. So again, you can reach us facebook.com/RealReviewMedia, Twitter, Instagram @RealReviewMedia, youtube.com/TheRealReview, and then also email us at realreviewmedia@gmail.com. Let us know what's up, what shows you're watching, what's your favorite one, if you like The Good Doctor, if you like In the Flash.
I love it.
All that fun stuff.
I love it.
And then our website, you can find everything there, is realreviewmedia.com, and check it all out. We keep that thing updated. And let me know if there are any special reaction videos for new trailers or for film and
or maybe you
TV
want me
shows.
to do the hit and runs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. 2-second review. It was good. And then walk away.
I watched the wrong movie.
Yeah,
and then
exactly. But other than that, that's all we got for you today, and it's been real.
It's been real.